hello there, and welcome back to round 2 of our first season with my team, the Minardi F1 team on F1 2020. We're at the workstation in Bahrain. Nothing happened after I went to the event. I didn't have any interviews, nothing like that. So the 3 practice sessions, qualifying and the race, 29 laps. Again, obviously nighttime racing will be qualifying race and FP2 as well. No chance of rain, which is obviously what you would expect at a circuit like Bahrain. We've got a couple of messages, weekend preview and the weather forecast. Moving through here, of course, the performance. We've done no upgrades, and looking at the progress history between Australia and Bahrain, looks like Red Bull and Ferrari have had little upgrades. Same for Racing Point. Haas have had an upgrade and they're now slightly ahead of us, and Williams have looked like they've had quite a big upgrade actually and have closed the gap. So we might find the going a bit tougher here in Bahrain, but it is one of my favourite circuits. I've always seemed to have gone well at Bahrain, so hopefully we can put in a decent performance and beat a teammate and the Williams cars again. As for the units, we'll run the same units. There's no harm in changing. They're all pretty even, to be honest with you, apart from the electronics. Everything else seems fairly even. The practice gearbox we'll use for FP1 and FP2, and we can order a new one whenever we like. The event gearbox will be from FP3 onwards. So I'll go to the practice session now. I won't show any footage. I might show a little bit in FP3. FP1 and FP2, I'm just going to try and work out a setup, pound around, get some laps, try and get a few practice programs done with no distractions. So I'll see you guys at the end of FP1 for a very quick update. So FP1 is finished. Bottas was the fastest, 2 tenths ahead of Hamilton, Leclerc in third. We had a pretty good session, to be honest. Did 3 or 4 laps early on, and then I decided to do the track acclimatisation program, and on the second lap got purple, and we ended the session in P18. Giotto there at the back but on the hard tyres. We're ahead of Russell, Grosjean and Latifi, a full second over Latifi. I think Grosjean will find more pace and Russell was a bit worryingly close to us, but we're just off the pace of Gasly. Giovinazzi was in the hard tyres, and Ocon in the Renault, surprisingly, was only just a couple of tenths ahead of us. So I found a nice setup, a nice base. We seem to be evenly matched across all 3 sectors. Now, of course, move into FP2 and then FP3, where I'll show you some footage from that, where we'll be running on the soft tyres, try to get some more practice programs done. Got to fiddle about, I think, a little bit of the tyre pressures. I've almost got them right to have sort of an even spread across all 4 tyres. You don't really want one side being worn considerably more than the other, because it kind of puts you off a little bit and unbalances the car. You kind of want it a nice even spread. So we've got to do a little bit of work in that in FP2, but I'm sure we'll get it right. But as the weekend continues on, we're already looking pretty comfortable and competitive where we've expected to be. So I'll go away now, do FP2, and I'll be back with you with a roundup of how that session went. So here's the final classification at the end of FP2. Hamilton somehow has done a 28.0 on the hard tyres, which is mad. I think something's a bit wrong there, but anyway, we'll ignore that and we'll scroll down. These are all the drivers you can see here. P14 we ended, a 31.475. The other soft runners was Magnussen, just a couple of hundredths behind us. Everyone else was in the hards and the mediums, but Giotto there was a full second slower than us in the medium tyres. George Russell was a couple of tenths ahead of him. Grosjean as well towards the back, and Latifi as well in last place. Cars feel good, got a nice balance on it. Don't think I'll be running the soft tyres in the race. Looks like it's going to be mediums and hards, unless there is a safety car, of course, because I am burning through the soft tyres. They're up to about 25-26% after only 4 laps. Yeah, it's going to be a little bit worse than Australia. So I think the race is going to be mediums and hards. Now we move forward, of course, into FP3 and then the qualifying session. So just under 20 minutes left of FP3. It's just a half-hour session. Track acclimatisation, the time management and the fuel management, we've all managed to get purple in. I know it says 0 for the time management. I'm not too sure what all that's about, but you can see there we've got 370 out of 550 resource points in total. So we've got 2 sets of soft tyres left to use up. So I think we'll give the I don't know what one to do. I think we'll give the ERS management one a bit of a go. So we'll drive at the garage. This one's quite difficult to do because you've got to manage your ERS and set a competitive lap time, and with the ERS you either have no ERS or all of the ERS, so it's going to be a bit difficult to manage. It could be a case of obviously only use the ERS down the main straights. So we're coming out just behind an AlphaTauri. You can see there the ERS, it's either 0 or 3. Beautiful sunshine at the moment in FP3, but will transition, of course, to being a night qualifying session and a night race as well. But I actually don't mind driving Bahrain during the day. So here we go then. Done it at the first time, so that's good. That's all completed. Starting to understand the ERS when we run it in overtake mode as well, a little better. Complete a few more laps now, see what our lap time is like compared to our rivals. So the ERS management was completed. We also managed to get the extra objective for top speed, beat the average speed trap speed. And then the last lap I did out there is good enough for P12, 1 minute 30.636. I was using a little bit of the overtake button along the straights, and there's 4 noticeable ones really. The main straight, the one between turn 2 and turn 3, the back straight, and then the second back straight leading down to the final corner. So I was giving a little bit of a squirt along there, not too much. But yeah, it's done well to get us into P12. You can see most people are on the soft tyres. Latifi is 9 tenths slower than us, also on the soft. Russell is half a second slower than us. Giotto is 3 tenths slower than us. So it looks like we've got the beating of them. We might also be in a bit of a battle with the Haas cars as well. We'll just have to see how it goes. Where's Grosjean? Where is Magnussen in all this? He's yet to set a lap time, but he's on a flying lap at the moment. 29.6. He's going to be a bit slower than us, I think. So yeah, it's looking promising. We should be, I think, the target is P19 ahead of Giotto and both the Williams cars. I'm not going to go back out again. I'm pretty happy with how things are. In fact, Magnussen on the soft tyres only manages a 31.5, so we're nearly a second clear of him as well. Yeah, I'm not going to go out again because obviously we're now running the event gearbox and it's already looking a bit too high for my liking before we start getting troubles, and obviously I don't want to have to incur a grid penalty by swapping it out before the end of the 6th race. So I'm not going to go out again, and we'll go back to the workstation as we prepare everything for the qualifying session. So all the resource points picked up by myself and Giotto, which will be added to our total. 2,600 we're up to now. It's team acclaim, 2% for me. I'm up to level 2 now, and another 10% for Giotto. A 14% combined boost. I believe it puts us level 3. It does indeed. So yeah, we'll be shooting up the first few levels. We'll probably be, in fact, I think we'll be level 5 by the time Giotto is level 6, and level 3 for the team acclaim is very nice, and we're only halfway through the second weekend. So almost a minute and a half into the qualifying session, and you can see we've got plenty of soft tyres to use up. Mediums apparently will last 28 laps, hards 36. Yep, Jeff, that's exactly what we'll do. Of course, I'll turn Jeff back on so you can hear him both qualifying and the race. The custom setup then, we'll drain the fuel out. I've left pretty much everything as it is from the start. I've been fiddling around a little bit with the tyre pressures, but I'm happy with the balance of the car, so I'm fine with this one. So we'll exit this and we'll get out on circuit for our first qualifying run. Let's go. I'll either do 2 or 3. I'm not really worried about burning through the soft tyres. I'm planning on mediums and hards for the race. Just waiting for the chief engineer to let me out, and away we go now. Right, got a bit of gap now. Time to turn everything up. Here we go, first lap in quali. It was scrappy. It was scrappy. I can definitely do better than this. 29.5. It's our quickest lap of the weekend, but we're 6 tenths off of Russell. So that's not good. So we'll go back to the pits now. Re-evaluate and get out there again. That felt better. Nearly 8 tenths up on our previous best. Up into P18. Felt good, that one. We will go out again at the very end of the session. We'll have time to get back and change to another set of tyres, but I'll be surprised if we manage to find a bit more pace. That felt like a pretty nailed on lap back. Not surprised actually by the pace of Russell getting ahead of Magnussen. Williams have had a big upgrade, and Russell is probably made to be a little OP on the game. There's a lot of hype around George Russell at the moment, so that's why every time Williams has a decent upgrade, Russell moves a little bit closer up the field. But it's good to see that we're pretty much level with Haas, and that's exactly what we are in qualifying. We're ahead of Magnussen, just a couple of tenths behind Grosjean. Right, here we go. So Bottas takes part with 26.378, just half a tenth ahead of Hamilton. Vettel very close behind in third place. I mean, it's Red Bull, Ferrari, Red Bull. Ricciardo, Sainz, Perez and Norris completes the top 10. Then it's Stroll, Ocon, Kvyat, Giovinazzi in 14th, Gasly, Raikkonen, Grosjean in 17th. We ended up in 18th, just ahead of Magnussen. Giotto was a couple of tenths back, and just behind him Russell, and then another 6 tenths back to Latifi. Russell, I think, went out a few minutes earlier, and he was one of the 2 cars in the pits, which is why he didn't improve his lap time like the rest of us did. I was about, I think at one point in the lap I was about just over 2 tenths up on my previous best, and going into the final corner it was about a tenth. I lost all that in the final corner, but we did just enough to improve to get back ahead of Magnussen. You'd have noticed on the qualifying lap that his final lap put us momentarily back into 19th, but we're 18th instead of 19th. We've out-qualified one of the Haas as well as our teammate and both the Williams cars. It's going to be an interesting race. I think we'll be battling quite a lot with these guys towards the back of the field. Strategy will come down to it. You never know, like Australia, we might get a cheeky safety car or 2. But again, yeah, everything felt fine in qualifying. I'm probably not like pushing... I'd say I'm pushing as hard as I can. I'm not overdriving the car, which is good. I know the limits, so that's good going into the race. So you lose more time, obviously, making mistakes than if you don't. So yeah, so far all things seem okay. So Team McLean goes up by 4% by me, 10 by Giotto, another 14% for the team. So we could very well be level 4 by the end of this, and Giotto is now starting to close in on getting up to level 6, so that's good for him. So P18 will be starting unless there's grid penalties that will promote us a position or 2. We've got another message from Jeff. Hey, how you feeling? Hope you've had your fill at breakfast, as you're going to need all the energy you can muster today. Nothing else really to do or look at, so we'll go to the race. We'll have a look at the race build up, the grid positions as well, and then get on with deciding our race strategy.
We're here again then at a circuit famous for its stunning visuals and thrilling battles for glory. Who will take the spotlight in the Bahrain Grand Prix today? There's no shortage of passing opportunities around the 3.36 miles of the Bahrain International Circuit, with the best at turn 1 of course, and then another soon into turn 4. 15 corners here, 6 to the left and 9 to the right, and we could see 1 or 2 flat spots into the tight left-hander of turn 10. Also here, of course, is Anthony Davidson. So, let's briefly discuss Lewis Hamilton. Looks like they've got a tough race in store today, as grid penalties from changing power unit components has forced them further down the field.
But on the bright side, at least those fresh components can help them maintain the power they need to come through the pack. I expect to see them take a more aggressive approach today to make up for the compromised start.
It's time to see how our drivers are stacking up after yesterday's exciting qualifying session. Good job yesterday from Valtteri Bottas. The Finn starts from pole position, with Sebastian Vettel starting alongside. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Verstappen, Leclerc, Alexander Albon, and Ricciardo, Sainz, Perez, Norris, and Lance Stroll, Ocon, Hamilton, Daniel Kvyat, and Giovinazzi, Gasly, Raikkonen, Roman Grosjean, and Lee, Magnussen, Giotto, Russell, and Nicholas Latifi. Which of these talented drivers will come out on top today?
So then Hamilton has a 10-place grid penalty, dropping him down to, I think it was 12th place it was in the end. So we remain in P18. So the race strategy, mediums onto hards. We could switch that a little bit, because I think most people back here might be starting on the mediums. It's 10 seconds longer to go onto the two-stop strategy. As for fuel, we'll start with I think we'll start with 2 laps worth of fuel again, so it'll be a bit heavy. I'm going to switch that. So if we go softs, get rid of, oh no, then we've got to do mediums, hards, get rid of that stint. There we go. Right, so we're going to start on the hard tyres. I'm fine with that. Car setup, we can only change a few little bits, but as I said, I'm happy with the balance of the car anyway. So 3 laps worth of extra fuel, 1 stop strategy, starting on the hard tyres. I think most people around us are probably going to be on the mediums. Can't really see there at the moment. So anyway, we'll start the race and get the formation lap on the go. Oh, it's a mix of everything. It's a mix of everything. We've got mediums and softs around us. So this could be interesting then. Different strategies out there.
Temperature on this lap. We're learning the gears, so go through them all if you can.
Now those inside the top 10 will definitely be on the soft tyres. Looks like Gasly is on the mediums. What's going on behind us? Giotto's in the mediums. We've got mediums and mediums. I think mediums pretty much the way to be for outside the top 10. We're on the hards. Grosjean on the softs. The top 10 will be on the softs, so they may be forced actually to 2-stop, which could make things very interesting. I don't think, like, because of that we'll be battling the likes of, I don't know, anyone really for the points, but you never know, you might gain a few extra positions. Really the battle is going to be with Haas, Williams and Giotto, our teammate. I do like the Bahrain circuit. Dry conditions, obviously. We did have, funnily enough, I think it was back on F1 20, either 16 or 17, when the game came out. I did some online races at Bahrain, and it was always heavy rain at Bahrain. That got quickly patched, of course, and the only way you can do a wet race at Bahrain is to manually set it up. But Bahrain is one of those circuits that will always traditionally be run in the dry because of where it's located. So the ERS modes, of course, it'll be number 1, medium, number 3, overtake. The same we run in Australia. And there'll be 4 places where I'll be using that really, and that'll be along the 4 straights. So the AI, I should say, takes control of our car. Takes us onto the grid now. Starting on the inside, which I think is where I want to be. Although it's going to get very tight going into turn 1. You'll have cars going 2, 3 wide, and then they'll all bottle up onto a very tight apex. So have to be careful to not nick our front wing and ruin our race at the start. Oh, here I are bashing against each other. Side by side of Russell for 3 or 4 corners is not where I want to be. You remain then, we've lost the position really down into 19th. Russell's managed to get past. Oh, Giotto, you cheeky bastard. So that one completed. We're in P19. Got Giotto, Raikkonen, I assume Latifi behind, and Giotto's being passed by Raikkonen down into turn 1. Target for us, with these guys all being on the medium tyres around us, is try not to lose too many positions and try to stay with the guys in front. That will help us later on in the race when we make the change onto the medium tyres. Car feels very heavy and very understeery, and then snap oversteer on exit. The heavy fuel loads and the hard tyres, which aren't, of course, the grippiest tyres out there. So just come down the back straight now to complete lap 4. Raikkonen has managed to, we managed to keep him at bay for now, but I think he's going to finally work his way past. We're sort of in touching distance of the cars in front of us. Obviously running the hard tyres isn't ideal. Fuck off, Kimmy.
3 seconds is the gap between you and the next car. 3 seconds.
Raikkonen dives out of the inside. And we get DRS again. I'm not too sure why. There's only one detection point, but I'll take it.
Safety car.
Ooh, virtual safety car.
Reduce speed immediately and keep a positive delta.
Perez is out of the race. And a VSC has been called for it. We won't pit though. Well, this might help some people that are going to be in the pits. Okay, green flag racing again. We haven't lost too much time. So Perez is at the race. Some drivers took the opportunity to pit. We'll carry on our merry way. Lap 8 of 29. So coming into lap 11 now. The hard tyres are starting to show a little bit of slip. Now running rich fuel mix to try and save a bit of the ERS if we can. You can see there we've got a few cars ahead of us that have already made pit stops. We're gaining on Russell though now, as his medium tyres start to give up a little bit. But we're running okay at the moment in P16. Don't know when I'm going to stop off of the hard tyres. Ideally I want to be no sooner than lap 16. So far it's just about pound the laps, keep it clean, see what we can do. So into lap 13, we're now in the DRS slipstream of George Russell with Jock Giotto, who's currently being passed by Lando Norris. And he was about 2.5 seconds back. So medium tyres now not operating at their best. The advantage is with us now for a lap or two until they pit. Car's a bit twitchy at this stage. But I'm expecting that. I'm not worried. We'll just push on. So Russell peels off into the pits. Other drivers in the pits as well. We might find ourselves inside the points. There we will be. We are in P10, but Norris is right behind me. As we go deep into turn 1, didn't want that. And if Norris tries something into turn 3, I am not going to hold him up. So into lap 16. As Jeff is telling me, and the graphic on the right hand side, the pit window is now open. And we will probably be pitting at the end of this lap for a set of medium tyres. So completely balls up turn 1. We're running in P9 at the moment. P9. It's nice to have a period in the points. And we'll be in at the end of this lap for the medium tyres, but should be able to get us to the end of the race comfortably enough.
Okay, gap ahead is...
Okay, a few cars behind me, peeling off now into the pit lane. Let's see where we rejoin. So coming out the pit lane now. We'll just be just ahead of Giotto. You can see there on the right hand side on a fresh set of medium tyres. For 13 laps now. So I think we'll comfortably, as I try and get back on the circuit, pull away from Giotto. And we're now 5.1 seconds behind Russell.
Okay, clear.
And there's a green flag as well. So something's happened behind.
Right, some information on Ricardo. They're retiring from the race.
And Ricardo's out of the race. He was behind us anyway. So now the target really is to catch and pass Russell if we can. Romain Grosjean is in the pits going on to a set of medium tyres, but it will be a position gained. P17. So P16 is on the cards here, which is a respectable finish, I think. So I'm now within DRS range of Russell. As we will now commence our battle for P16. Magnussen isn't exactly a million miles up the road either. So you never know. Depends how much time we lose behind Russell now we've caught him. This is the first opportunity I've got at Russell. Park it on the apex, slam on the anchors. Away I go. So that's Russell done with. 3 seconds to Magnussen. 6 laps to go. Medium tyres already starting to show quite a bit of graining actually. I have been pushing these tyres really hard actually. So I don't know if we'll be able to catch Magnussen, but we'll give it a go. We've got yellow flags ahead. Oh, there's smoke coming from Magnussen's car. Magnussen's blown up. It's gifted as P15.
Green flag.
We can sort of relax a little bit now. I don't think we're going to be doing any better than that unless someone else retires ahead of us or makes another pit stop.
Some information on Magnussen. They are out of the race.
And we are looking at our best results so far. With a P15, so we can relax a little bit. So as we come into and out of the final corner, coming across the line to start the final lap, we're 2 seconds behind Russell. Gonna have to push a little bit though,
Final lap of the race.
because our tyre wear is pretty crud. Grosjean has just managed to get past Russell, and Grosjean's on the medium tyres like we are, and our left rear is at 61%, I think it is.
Only one lap of
60%. So we're struggling a little bit with tyre wear. Hopefully we can do enough to just hold Grosjean off. He's managed to get past Russell.
Our gap to the car in front is 13.7 seconds.
This is always going to be a race where it's going to be difficult on tyres. As Vettel wins the race for Ferrari. Congratulations to him. We're busy here trying not to crash in P15. I think we should be okay. The overtake and the rich mix should just about see us across the line. Now I'll take a P15. If you'd offered me a P15 before this race, I would have had your hand off for it.
We're not going to be able
Making
to
baby
this
steps.
engine mode much longer. We're about a lap over target. Drop down to mix too soon.
Jeff telling me about the fuel, but we've got enough to get to the end. One corner to go. And it'll be our best result for us and the Minardi team. Boost it to the line. P15 at Bahrain. I'm happy. So as the fireworks go off in the background in the night sky at Bahrain, this is the final classification from the race. Vettel won the race from second on the grid, pipping Bottas by just under 0.4 of a second. Leclerc joins him on the podium. Verstappen fourth. Hamilton, after his grid penalty and the fastest lap, recovers into P5. Albon, Sainz, 6th and 7th. Ocon, Kvyat and Stroll on the one-stop strategy, also in the points. It's Gasly, Giovinazzi, Norris down in 12th place after starting in 9th. Raikkonen and then ourselves in 15th. From 18th on the grid, a 32.441 really isn't the best lap out there, but we were on the medium and the hard tyres, so it is to be expected. We managed to hold off Grosjean and Russell at the end. Giotto finished 11.5 seconds behind us at the end. We came at the pits just ahead of him, remember, as well, so that shows the pace that we had. Latifi was a further 10 seconds behind him. We lost Magnussen late on, right in front of us in fact. Ricciardo and Perez were other retirements. So the standings then, as it stands after round 2 of 16, Vettel leads the championship 7 points ahead of Hamilton. Leclerc in third on 31. Quite a few drivers have yet to score points, including ourselves. Hopefully we can get our first points on the board at some point this season. In the Constructors, Ferrari lead on 74, 20 points ahead of Mercedes on 54, Red Bull in third on 30. It's McLaren who jumped Renault 15 to 14, Haas on 4, Racing Point 3, AlphaTauri on 2, Alfa Romeo, Minardi and Williams yet to score. So then the team acclaim, 4% for me, 10% for Giotto, 14% combined for the team. It does put us up into level 4, which is not the highest you could be going into when you talk about all the teams. Not where the highest can be. As a team completed a total of 75 laps during the race weekend, we did 95, so as secondary sponsors come in, base payout and the total result, no damage deductions, so more money coming in. 1.91 million, nearly $2 million we got for that weekend. Very nice indeed. So we are then back at the base headquarters, if you like. We've got some activities that we can do. We can do a couple of these, I think, potentially before the race. We've got some messages, performance comparison, put together an estimate on how our car's performance is stacking up against our rivals. Yep, Haas is slightly ahead of us. Williams are slightly behind. So this is the time now. 2 races done. I really do like our livery. It is growing on us just a little bit. So the facilities, we can spend some money over here. R&D, obviously we do need to do some stuff. I had a couple of questions from Claire, who is the general interviewer, if you like, after the races and all that. She was basically saying, car looked good out there, what is it down to? I said aero department. So the aerodynamic department's got a bit of a morale boost at the moment. Vehicle, we can have a look at this. 38%, 43 for the MGU-H, 42 for the turbocharger. So these things are now starting to get to a point when it's in like the 50s and 60s, they start to really decrease on power. So you use them basically in the practice sessions, say for new units for qualifying and for race. The gearbox then, our predicted 30% is exactly 30%. So after 6 races, that'll be at 90. That will be a bit of an issue. So unfortunately, unless you spend a load of our resource points on the durability department and specifically the gearbox department in that, we might be having to change it out before the 6th race. As for corporate, Obviously, as a team, complete a total of 75 laps. We've done that. The goal has been achieved. We've received that as well. And the weekly income, you can see that the goal bonus and the weekly income has gone up because our team affinity is now at 4, level 4. I don't know how high it can go. Our weekly income has gone up, and our goal bonus for completing a season has also gone up as well. So the more affinity our team gains, the better it is for us. As for contracts, we're now at level 2. Giotto is nearly a level 6. But one thing I do want to look at, driver market, see what's going on here. Again, I don't know what the highest is. Some of these drivers are looking good to improve at some point as well. As for our finances and our finance history, that continues to go up and up and up. As you can expect, customization, we don't need to look at it. So contracts, I want to look at driver perks.
Spend any extra money that you secured on perks. Each of these perks benefit both you and your current team. They stay with you, so they'll make you a more attractive prospect in future negotiations.
Yeah, so we can spend money here. You can see it's not exactly that expensive, and we can get some driver perks for ourselves and the team as it is. So we can $274,000 driver claim will be boosted by 10%. $230,000 engine wear will be reduced by 10%. Media coaching, unlock additional interview answers level 1, so we get more questions to us and more different answers that can help us to favour different departments or make us look good or look bad or whatever. And development feedback, resource points income will be boosted by 10%. Now I'm tempted to get all level 1 done on these straight away, but they don't increase the overall team, if you like. It's just basically for me personally. So we'll go back then to the R&D screen. We really need to think about the gearbox early on. So that is a MGUK and an MGUH durability. We can't do too much until we start to increase our facilities. So I'm tempted to get both of these done. If we do these should be hopefully between Vietnam and the Dutch Grand Prix, because obviously there is a big gap between Vietnam and the Dutch Grand Prix, having cancelled the Chinese Grand Prix from this year's calendar. We've almost got a month there, so I might wait until after Vietnam actually and just deal with Vietnam as best as it is. The powertrain department probably needs a little bit of work as well. Certainly the chassis and the aerodynamic department. As for facilities, the marketing is basically what generates us more money and more resource points. The personnel is what generates good stuff for Giotto. So you can see 2 million, 1.5 million and 1 million. So we can do a couple of these. Slightly improved second driver racecraft and awareness stats, and slightly improved second driver experience stats as well. But I think, again, I'm going to be saving the money, and we'll have a look at the activities that we can do. So we've got a driver promotion, we've got an aero department focus more on the aerodynamic department, and we gain 30 resource points. Driver promotion, so the driver goes up by 100 acclaim. Chassis team building, so a chassis department gets a boost. Sponsor advertisement for the drivers, the team gets 250 acclaim, and we also generate an extra $20,000. Supplier HQ tour, resource points 30, the team affinity gains 250, and durability equipment upgrade. So I think what we'll do, we'll go for driver promotion filming, and then straight after that we'll do a sponsor advertisement, and then we'll do a supplier HQ tour. So we'll go for all that now and see what that leaves us. Okay, there we are then. So everything seems to have been done. We can't do no activities or messages. We'll have a look at facilities. Nothing's changed. I think it's the corporate side of things, isn't it, really? Yeah, Giotto's affinity has gone up quite a bit. You can see there it's almost at level 6 now. But his overall stats haven't improved. And the driver market as well, you can see there we've sort of broke even for the last week, really, with our running costs as well. So everything seems okay, everything seems good. We've got nearly 2.5 million in the bank. We've got quite a lot of resource points as well. Yeah, it's going to get to a point where we've really got to look at the facilities more than anything else, and certainly the durability side of things. So what will it be? Increase the number of developments, build time for upgrades, improve build time by 20%, so things will get in the car quicker, improve failure chance reduction by 10%, and improve resource points generation to 60. The failure chance really is what we want to do, but we need to get all of these up to spec 1 before we start really thinking about the gearbox. That's going to be 1.5, 1.5 is 3, 1.5, 4.5, $6.5 million just to get it to spec 1. And we are probably a third of the way after 2 races. So yeah, I'm not going to do any upgrades. I'm going to leave it as it is. And yeah, so I'll be back with you guys for episode 3 in hopefully the next few days, where we go to Vietnam for the first Hanoi Circuit Grand Prix, a circuit I have absolutely no experience on whatsoever. It's just going to be pretty interesting to get out on circuit for the first time. But for Bahrain and this episode, good race overall, good weekend overall. I thought we're getting more and more in depth with the career mode and the team, and now we're sort of saving up the resource points and the money whilst also increasing the driver and team affinity stats as well. So I think in the next couple of episodes we're going to be spending what we've got to try and improve this car. Whether we go for facilities or whether we go for just basic upgrades, I've yet to make a decision, but we need to do something soon, otherwise we're going to fall further and further behind. But thank you very much for watching this episode, and I'll see you all for the next one very soon.